Samantha from Jessimo Tutorials here, and today I'm going to show you how to create faux Peruvian opal from polymer clay. So to start off with, you're going to need some translucent polymer clay. I'm using specifically white translucent Primo today. However, any translucent will work. I'm going with this one because it has a slightly blue tint after baking, whereas most other translucents end up with a little bit of a yellow tint after baking. But again, any translucent will work. And I'm going to be tinting it with Pool alcohol ink and then this other blue alcohol ink. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to open those up. Give me just one moment. And I'm just going to drop that down onto the clay. And I'm going to need to let that dry. And this is the last of this bottle. There we go. And I'll do the same with the other one. Just drop that down, giving myself a decently strong colour, and then just allow that to dry, and then mix the clay up together so that you end up with tinted translucent. You can also buy pre-tinted polymer clay if you want. Another thing that you do want to mix up as well is a mix of translucent and white polymer clay. This is 1 pot white to 6 pots translucent, so you end up with a semi-opaque translucent. And then from there, I'll show you how to create the opal. And here they are once the colour has been mixed through. And from here, we can take those two colours and the opaque white, and I'm going to just take them and just fold them and stack them so that they're a little bit thicker than what they are right now. And I'm going to chop those up, and to make that a little easier, I'm just going to just space the white out a little bit. I don't want too much white in the piece, so I'm just gonna, I think that will be enough white. And I'll just stack them like that so that I can chop that all at once. And yeah, all you're gonna do is you're just gonna take your blade, just take that and start chopping. Then, once you've done that, the next part is optional. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be adding a little bit of black flakes into here. So I'm just going to take a little cheese grater and some black polymer clay, and I'm just going to lightly shave over the surface, not too much. I really don't want a huge amount in here. And then I'm just going to take that and I'm going to roll it around just to distribute those flakes evenly. And then I might add a couple more. It's really up to personal preference how much you want. I think that will do. And again, just rolling that around to get them all kind of stuck in. And that's just supposed to kind of create the dendrite effect in this opal. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squish that together so that all of the clay is stuck together, and then I'm going to chop it one last time just to distribute everything. And that should be fairly simple, and you could stop at this point as well if you want. I'm just going to actually check here. You can see at this point if you've got enough of those little black flecks in there, and I'm quite happy with that. And then from here I'm just going to chop it up a little bit more, and then I'm going to add a little bit of pearl white paint just to get some more prominent veins going through here. Okay, and this is the pearl white paint I'm using. Any acrylic pearl white will work, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of that down over here. And just give me a moment. There we go. And I don't want too much, so I'm just going to take a brush and just distribute that paint. And if I feel like it needs more, I can easily add more. But I don't want too much paint in here. Feel free to add more if you want. It's completely up to you. Usually I use a bag to distribute, I pop the clay inside a little plastic bag and then add the paint if I'm using a lot of paint, but I'm only using a small amount here, and I want it to be distributing kind of a patchwork effect so that it only shows up a little bit in the finished piece. So I'm not going to use a bag effect this time around, but feel free to do that if you feel like this is too messy. And then just allow this to dry completely, and then we can bundle it together, create a cane, and then start creating some cabochons. Alright, and then once it's dried, you're just going to take that and you're just going to pull that up together and give it a squish. There's still some wet patches, but for the most part it should be dry enough. And just scrape up the remaining clay there and just pull that up all together, and then I'm just going to pop that to the side and clean up the tile. Okay, and then I'm going to actually do something that I haven't done before when it comes to slicing this. What I usually do is I'll press it into a rectangle shape so that all of the sides are straight and it all lies together nice and evenly, but that oftentimes creates a seam, quite a visible seam between each of the slices. So I'm actually going to just keep it in this kind of nugget shape and slice it like that and then press it together so that hopefully the seams are less visible. It doesn't mean that it's not going to slot together as nicely, but let's test whether or not that makes it look a little bit more organic. And I'm just going to take that and slice. You can see there how it looks, and it's going to change up once it's been baked because that translucent will clear up. And also you should probably expect a bit of a color shift because again the translucent will clear up, so colors generally end up darkening once it's baked, so that's something to keep in mind as well. And I can already see that those sides are a lot more random, so hopefully when I stick it together it's all going to look a little less geometric, I suppose. I'm going to slightly overlap pieces and just pop them together like so. And I'm just going to try to fill it in so that I don't have too many big gaps, because I don't really want that. And yeah, this one looks a little bit too thick, so I'm going to quickly give that a slice. But yeah, you'll just pop all of the pieces together, and then we're going to give it a burnish so that it's all squished and pressed together. But I do want to press it together in such a way that for the most part it's all nice and even, so that I can cut out as many pieces as possible from it. And I'll just press these sides in to fill in those gaps. Okay, now I'm just going to grab my roller and give that a roll to squish everything together, because I kind of want to stretch it out a little bit. And I do have a spot over here where the paint is a little wet. That's fine, that can get sanded away later on. But there we go, this should clear it up nicely. And I'm still busy deciding whether I want to create a cabochon or if I want to cut out pieces. I might end up doing both actually. Alright, and I have decided that I am going to cut out pieces. And here is how that looks. Now, this clay is quite sticky, partially from the fact that it's very fresh, but also partially from the fact that the alcohol ink does make translucent clay a little stickier than usual, at least for me. It doesn't happen all the time, but I'm going to cut it out on a tile that I can put directly into the oven, so that I don't have to risk picking up the pieces that I cut out and distorting them. And to save on sanding time, I am just going to take that and burnish it down onto the tile, just really working it so that it's a nice smooth surface. the roller will have got rid of most of the bumps. This is just going to smooth it out completely so that there's very little to no sanding needed. And it also will be sticking it down onto the tile so that the clay doesn't stick inside your cutters. Alright, and that should do. Alright, from here I'm going to be using these little pebble earring cutters. I sell them on my Etsy store, Jessima Design. There'll be a link in the description below if you are interested in them. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to take those and I'm just going to find a spot that I like and cut down. When working with donut cutters, just make sure that you give it a good press in the middle as well, because sometimes you don't end up with a nice clean cut if you don't press in the middle as well, just because that middle piece sometimes doesn't get enough pressure just from pressing the outside. Hopefully that makes sense. Just give it a good nice even press and then lift it up. And I'm only going to be making one pair of earrings. I don't want to bake more clay than I need because I can always use this for other things. So I'll just lift that up and out of the way. And I'm just going to bake that. I might use those middle pieces in the same earring as this, or I might end up making a separate pair of earrings. But this is going to go into the oven for 40 minutes at Primo's recommended temperature, and then let's see how it ends up looking. And here's how they look once they're out of the oven. So if I bring over the piece that I have that's still raw, you can see that they did go a little bit darker, but for the most part there actually hasn't been that much in the way of a colour shift, so that's really good. I'm not sure if the camera's going to be able to pick this up yet. I might need to wait until it's got a little bit more varnish on it, but the pearl white has created a really nice fractal effect inside of the piece. I don't think the camera's going to pick that up though. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to varnish the one side and then I'm going to add resin to the other side. And the way I'm deciding which side's which is when you cut down with your cutter to cut out your piece, you're going to find that it domes it very slightly, and that's the side that I'm going to apply varnish to. And then the back side, the part that was sitting on the tile baking, is going to have a very nice sharp crisp edge, and that's the side I'm going to use for the resin. But anyway, if they need any kind of sanding, you can give them a sand before applying varnish, but these are pretty much okay because we did burnish them before applying, before popping them in the oven, so they should be okay. I'm going to be using Varathane gloss varnish, and I'm just going to apply a coat to, again, the domed part of the piece. And then, once that has dried, I might add another layer of varnish. It depends on if it's shiny enough for my liking. But I probably will stick with just the one layer. And then I'm going to apply the resin. I'll show you how to do that in a bit. I like to add a relatively thick layer of varnish, that way I don't end up with any brush strokes. And that should take about 15 minutes to dry, and that dripped. If it drips, just take that and give it a clean. And this is why I'm varnishing it before I resin it, because that would have ended up smearing the resin. So I always varnish before resining if I do plan on varnishing. But anyway, allow those to dry. You'll know it's dry once the varnish has cleared from this milky appearance to a completely clear appearance, and then we can varnish it with some resin. And once they're dry, this is how it should look, and it gives quite a nice glossy finish while keeping the nice domed effect. And here's the other one, and I did only apply one coat. Now I'm just going to bring over a silicone mat, and I'm going to apply resin to this. And the reason I've got a silicone mat is just in case any resin does spill off, it won't stick to my tile, and I just find it easier to work with. Also means I can move this around if I want to. this is the resin that I'm going to be using. Okay, and I'm just going to apply that to my piece. And when you're working with resin, only work with a little bit on your piece at a time, because you don't want to end up having drips, especially if you've already varnished the back. And then you're just going to take that and you're just going to spread that resin around to the edges, and then you can pop that under direct sunlight, or you can pop it in a UV light for about 15 minutes to get it to cure, and then you can assemble your earrings. Okay, and here it is once the resin has finished curing. So now we've got a wonderfully double-sided piece, and yeah, you can see both sides look pretty much just as shiny as the other, so you could do either one if you wanted, or both as I did. For now I'm going to assemble it, and I'm just going to use this nice pearl white cord, a ear wire, a cord end, and a jump ring. And I'm just going to take this little piece of cord, and let's see, I'm going to find the domed part, there we go. I'm just going to thread that through so that it creates that, and let me just, I want this loop on the resin side, so I went through the wrong way. Just bear with me for one moment. There we go. And just loop it over itself, and there, I want it to sit like that. Okay, then I'm going to just pop this cord end down, and I want to leave a little bit of a tail. I don't want it to be sitting right up against the piece, and that looks to be about right. Then you're just going to grab a pair of pliers, just give it a squish, and fold over each end, giving it a good squish so that it captures that cord in place, and then give it one final press. And then before trimming away the tails of the cord, just give it a little pull to make sure that it doesn't slide. That way, if it does, you can always reposition it, and then once you're satisfied that it is completely secure, you can just trim away the extra cord. Then you're just going to grab the jump ring and you're going to apply your ear wire. Nice and easy. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the tutorial, so let me know in the comments below what you thought. Will you give this a try? It doesn't have to be for opal. The technique itself is just quite cute in and of itself, so feel free to play around with different colours. But yeah, let me know what you thought. If you have comments, leave them in the comment section below, and I will answer any questions you may have as soon as possible. And if you liked the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing, as I do videos like this just about every single day. And if you'd like to support the channel so I can continue creating videos just like this one, consider becoming a member. There is a join button just below this video, or there is a link to my Patreon account. Both are exactly the same, so either one is greatly appreciated. Another way to support the channel is to check out my Etsy store, where I sell things such as the cutters that I used in today's tutorial. There'll be a link in the description below. But yeah, that is just about it. I do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.